morning. Hello, how are
All
you?
good. Hello, Krishna. Thanks for invite. It's been a long time while we've been trying to find the schedules to meet up and talk together. So, just want to
Yeah.
make a quick intro about myself. I'm sure you will see like the description of the video. My name is Leanid. I'm an international student. I'm a third year student at UC Berkeley studying business and data science. Fun fact about me, I'm a transfer student to Berkeley, so I have a bit different perspective towards how it's all been going and what I experienced. So I'm sure we will have a nice talk.
So, according to you, when your story or journey started, in which grade, and any special incident or any story you thought that
Okay.
okay, at that time my story started.
Okay. I'm originally from Belarus, so I talk I speak Russian, Belarusian languages. And I was never kind of like a visioning in my early childhood that I will be living in the US and studying there. It wasn't like my dream board. I was like, maybe. I was doing a lot of Olympiads, and somehow, I don't know if you like guys who are watching this know what are like Olympiads are, but like where you go to with certain subjects and participate who is like smarter than it. Unfortunately, all of like sciences which were like typical for like Olympiads, like math, physics, chemistry, were kind of like monopolized by some of my like classmates, and I was never like being able to even like show my face in the room
Oh,
when you're like trying to do some math problems. So somehow I was in the right place at the right time, and I got
yeah,
into geography Olympiads back in the seventh grade. In Belarus, you have like only 11th grade, and you're graduating. So it was like 4 years, 5 years technically before my graduation. I started doing
yeah,
Olympiads, then I got into STEM school in Belarus, which was pretty challenging for me. And on the ninth grade, I was doing my Olympiads, and it was only my like preparation towards like education abroad, kind of like I was reading a bunch of like English books, and I wasn't preparing for SAT or like TOEFL or IELTS. It wasn't like my priority. My like goal was to just like go ahead and win the Olympiads. I had like the vision of being like a winner, taking the first places. So and at the end of the ninth grade, I got into the Belarusian national team. I won my like national competition. In the 10th grade, the same happened, and at the 11th, the same happened. So and my life was always like kind of like leaning towards geography and earth science. In the 10th grade, because of COVID, the International Olympiad was cancelled. But on the 11th grade, I took
yeah.
part in the International Geography Olympiad. I got the silver medal on the International Earth Science Olympiad, bronze medal on the European Geography Olympiad. But the idea was that when I applied as a freshman year, I wasn't applying with a bunch of like international honors and like activities. I was just applying with like some of my like Belarusian national like first place, but it really is not like super something wow what admission would be like. Okay, even though like looking back at my like freshman year when I was like 17 and writing essays, I don't think, yeah, 17. I don't think that I was like doing my application in a way as international students should do. I was like doing it pretty light. I committed. I wrote like really nice essays, but I wasn't like super dedicated towards like making my application perfect. So then I spoke with some influential people from me, like my mentors, and they were like, "Yeah, you can like actually start like community college. You can take like many units, and you have even a higher chance to
Yeah.
transfer to like the college you want to go." And I will be honest, the only college and like university I wanted to go was Berkeley, because back in childhood I kind of like traveled to Berkeley, and I was in the Bay Area for some time. So and for me, like Berkeley is like the the city which I love,
Familiar.
and also my sister
Yeah.
is a Berkeley graduate, so that's why like Berkeley was my target. And
Oh,
I got into community college,
yeah.
did like my 4.0 GPA, started a bunch of clubs, bunch of activities, and honestly, I made my application to Haas because Haas is honestly pretty competitive school. It has like
Yeah.
4% acceptance rate. So when I was applying, I
Yeah.
was like, huh. Like I was clearly like realizing that my chances are not high, and like I need to make my application into the certain way where like you're unrejectable, and it doesn't mean like that you start doing certain activities to make your application good. You need to tell your story. And one of my mentors, he's past dean of Dartmouth, he told me only one important quote about college application is just you need to tell your story and you need to sell your story.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
Yeah, because yeah, according to me, college application essays are not essays. These are stories, and you have to show your real or honest story. And yeah, what about your best extracurriculars? If we are listing down top five extracurriculars, so can you list down your top five extracurriculars according to you?
I've been doing a bunch of volunteering, and it was just like one
Yeah,
of my
volunteer.
settled, but it was like completely different type of volunteering, like food,
Okay,
like
volunteer.
cooking food for people, other stuff. So it's like it's not super. It's something what I'm like not outstanding, but I would say it's like I had pretty decent amount of volunteering hours. And for everyone who's
Yeah,
watching and is like aspiring to apply, you need to have those volunteering hours and kind of like not just like have those hours, but be able to articulate and say why you have those hours and why especially you volunteered there. The company which I'm doing is that card is a payment processing in blockchain maybe 7 months before the application, and we got some cool metrics. We got pretty great performance on this pretty short time scale. So it was one of my, I would say, main activities about which I wrote to the essay, and I also like incorporated it to my story. I made it for like admission officer, not just like to read and say, okay. I made it to like, okay, this person will utilize those resources at Berkeley. This person has those like aspirations and ideas to do at Berkeley. The third one, damn, it's pretty hard. It's just like
yeah.
I had like 20 of them, but back in Belarus, I was doing the nonprofit for Olympiads preparation. It was like about, I would say, 600 people in it, and basically I was just like connecting people who've been like super experienced with Olympiads, and they've been like just teaching and mentoring the students who are just only incoming Olympiad takers.
Yeah, and I think Leanid, you already listed down all your extracurriculars in your LinkedIn. Check out Leanid LinkedIn, so you will find all extracurriculars. So LinkedIn, I have another question. As you mentioned that essays are stories. So what about your story? What kind of essays you wrote?
So there were like 5 essays. There were like 4 main essays and one like for Haas. Okay, let's go over it. The main like transfer essay, like what are like the reasons why you want to be at UC Berkeley? It was like pretty, I would say, like
Yeah,
cover letter. So it's like it was very
co-
specific, like what I did in the past, why I
oh,
see Berkeley, and what I will do in the future. In the future, I want to do finance and tech. So it was like pretty just straightforward essay. The second one was about volunteering, and kind of in a certain way when I moved to the US, how it's kind of like got changed to me. I realized like volunteering is something what you just give up and you don't get anything back. While, for example, in my home country, when you do volunteering, you like, even though you just volunteer and you don't get paid, you kind of get those like social credits, which are still like looked pretty commercially, I would say. A lot of people like commercial trying to just get something out of it. And for me, it was like pretty life changing experience when I like witnessed that like volunteering is just like giving up. And I wrote the whole essay about it, and I told about like my experiences volunteering. And the second essay was about some personal story actually from Belarus, and like how it's kind of like made me work towards the who I am right now. So it
okay.
was like,
Yeah.
um, and the
Hmm.
good essay I would say is probably the essay which you cannot publish. It might
Oh,
sound pretty weird, but like the
yeah.
indicator if you have a good essay is the point where you're thinking is not like applicable to just publish it online so everyone could see it. And at that point, I can say, okay, your essay is good. And my final class essay was more about like we had like 3 different topics to write about: critical thinking, adaptability, and networking. and I wrote about constant adaptability of like how I'm always adapting and that fast environment, fast-paced actions is essential for me. So just generally is those essays just you need to appropriately tell your story. It's like it really does not matter what numbers you include. You like you don't need to like and also just main advice. I read like hundreds of essays, I think, of like just my friends and like some of my followers who've been emailing me their essays. Is just do not try to
Yeah,
like put 100 activities towards one essay. Your essay should be like just like one story, even if it's not like something most influential. If it is like meaningful for you and it is important, please just write about it. But do not try to mix up like, oh, I did this and like it made me consider joining this club, and after joining this club I got like it's not your like resume, it's your story.
yeah, exactly. I totally agree with that. And what about your startup? I think bitcart.ai, current status, and when you get that idea, and when you connected with AI
So
system.
Bitcard is basically is an open source infrastructure for payments, and if you're a business or and you're trying to sell whatever product, we are the infrastructure which allows you to sell and provide you this like baseline for like checking your orders and getting paid or send payments and track your payments. And it all works in a Web3 like infrastructure. We're completely open sourced. So Bitcard was initially created, I think, 17 months ago, like year and a half, maybe more, with my co-founder. The idea came up more from my co-founder because he was like doing with the infrastructure, and I was like more leaning towards like B2B payments and providing the infrastructure for businesses and giving them those like gateways for payments. And and it's kind of like my long-term vision of my life that I want to do payments. I want to do like fintech, and like that is where I see myself in like next probably like 3 or 4 years. Bitcard is pretty cool project. It's a lot of work, but you work towards like the revolution of payments, and I believe that throughout fintech you can really change people's lives.
Yeah, exactly. I also agree with that because fintech is like a huge market. Leanid, what about your future plans? You have any future plans like what you will do after UC Berkeley, after graduation? Any?
So that's a pretty good question. I have main two aspirations. I want to work in a fintech. Kind of looking forward to work in like big tech company. This summer, I'm getting my internships, getting my interviews right now. You can like follow me on LinkedIn and see where I will land and where I
Yeah.
will end up. But after Berkeley, I just want to work and just build things. I don't want to
Yes.
go into academia. I don't want to go towards like MBA or PhD. Like I want to build and create things. For me, I have pretty like clear visions of like I work right now, and after
Yes,
Berkeley, I
exactly.
will be just working more.
Yeah, work or like get some experience, real experience, not university one. Okay. Yeah, and what about your SAT or AP?
Oh, SAT, yes. I never took any AP classes just because in my country you don't have AP classes. I never took AP exams, but I took SAT. I honestly wasn't preparing pretty much for it because then my SAT was like canceled because of COVID. Then it got rescheduled, then it got canceled. Then I got in, but
Oh,
then I got as a place for SAT. But I never sent my results because my colleges were not like looking for SAT, and then I never needed SAT for Berkeley. I don't know like about Berkeley, but generally about other universities is I don't know how this quote can go towards like other colleges, but like everything what is optional in Berkeley is required.
yeah,
Like, like if you
yeah.
want to outstand or you want to
Exactly.
build your application to look good, and someone saying you, oh, it's optional. No, it's not optional. It is required for you.
Like as we know that you have a like great life and everything is perfect now, so like any time when you find that okay, that's my weakest time or like most struggling time,
I mean, my bike, my like $1,000 bike, got stolen yesterday night from at Berkeley, just right at my business
So
school. So it kind of taught me to just like lock your bike pretty well, even though it was locked well. So I would say, from my main kind of like advice and view for like people who watching this, and you just concentrate on certain things and make them as your main priority. Do not try to just like do many things, because like I see a bunch of applicants who are trying to like do like 55 activities at the same time, when you just need one main activity which makes you the best. You need to be best at something, but you don't need to be like someone in like 25 different things.
yeah, exactly. Like focus on only few things because nowadays students have checklist. Okay, I have to build extracurriculars, so they are like joining tons of like summer programs, tons of internships, and tons of things. They are not providing quality. So yeah, I agree with that. Just focus on
Oh,
quality.
for sure.
Any advice for students who are looking universities like UC Berkeley?
I would say learn how to make a strategy. Not just learn, but try to understand how to make your strategy viable and working towards you, and assess your abilities and start everything ahead. If you want to go to Berkeley, it's not like getting into such school as Berkeley is not like a one night thing where you're like, oh, I just wrote something in my essay, I sent, and I'm getting in. It's like so many things should be like included, and so many things should be like
Yeah,
accomplished, and it's a huge ton of work. So, I mean,
yeah, totally makes
and you
sense.
probably like hear sometimes, oh, this guy like wrote his essay and got into like Berkeley, Stanford, or whatever, where like he or she weren't working much. It's completely bullshit. And those like are like extraordinary stories, where like outliers. But if you look at the data set of the ones who got to Berkeley or like T20 schools, you kind of look at the outliers, but you never look at the main people who get in and what they do and how many work and hours they put it into their application. So it's like it should be your like full-time work.
I totally agree with that. Many students they are focusing on their extracurriculars and their profile, but they are lacking in academics. So according to you, which is more important, academics or extracurriculars? Between academics and extracurriculars, which is more important?
Oh, that's always like the it's kind of like the similar question towards like what is the sense of living? Because you never have a
Exactly.
clear answer. I like from my experience I would say having a better GPA is more important than having activities. Like because still like
Yeah, exactly.
if you honestly look at the data of like applicants who got in, and if you like consider for example UCLA, they get 110,000 applicants every year. It is
Yeah,
440,000 essays. It's ridiculous. It's like
yeah,
how it works. They not like you think that they read 400,000 essays and like, oh, we like this, we like it. They sort by GPA at first. They need kind of like to have like certain layers of like 4.0, 3.9, 3.8, and they're like taking like certain applicants out of like reading their applications. So my personal advice is have a better GPA is much more
yeah. Important than have
profitable
better
for you for in the
extracurriculars.
future than like having different activities. So
And what about your personal opinion? If a student who have international or national level achievements, or you can say that Olympiads, and he don't have good GPA, just like 3.7, 3.5, or something like that. So he have potential to get into some good universities, or he have to focus on academics.
it's all about if you like have some certain honors and awards, but you don't have a great GPA, try to just like talk about your activity and make it outstanding and make you outstand because of it. It's important to have like a GPA. It is not essential to have a 4.0 GPA when you're applying, but it's also
Yeah,
essential not to have a 2.0. Like if you're in the certain range, just try keeping it up. Do not try to like, oh, I need to have a great activity, and it also would be good to have a 4.0. Like, let's be realistically, it's possible, but it's like it's unreal in most of situations. So that's why
Yeah.
just tell your story, and kind of you always have those comments of where you in Common App in UC application where you can write what is the reason why you have a certain GPA in like your supplement comments, and just go ahead. And I would be honest, is like being like transparent with your college application is much more beneficial for you than like trying to bullshit or like make something up.
Okay. And what about your financial aid? Like how much financial aid you got and scholarship financial aid?
Oh, Berkeley does not provide you financial aid, and it is kind of unfortunate
Yeah.
about UC Berkeley. There are certain programs I applied this semester, but I never got back because it's only beginning of the semester. Um, so unfortunately, you need to consider either like paying it all in cash or taking loans. So I would say Berkeley is kind of pricey, but when you're doing like
Yeah.
what I did as a transfer student, you really save up like tons of money because like for 2 years you're not paying Berkeley tuition, but then you still get Berkeley degree. So it's kind of like financially makes sense.
Yeah, I agree with that. And what about community college? You are also suggesting community college for international students, like from other countries, Asia. So, is it a good idea to choose first community college if you don't have a strong profile, good GPA, and something like that? So, is it a good idea to choose community college, then get into some good universities?
Um, so the idea is, do you want to be in the US and be exposed towards people who surround you, or you just want to be in the university? And realistically, in most of cases, you will get the first answer. I just want to get to the US. I want to be meeting people, and getting education would be great. Honestly talking, like community college probably gave me more applicable knowledge in terms of like at Berkeley is huge. It's like it's pretty hard to just get your professor one-on-one with you. At community college, it's much more better. The professors are really good. And I would say, like, I know so many international students from community college, and it's like it just makes so much more sense when you're coming, when you're adapting, and when you're seeing completely different like life from your previous one, and then you got into like the other school. So definitely, I would say is a good way of starting your education.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, it's a good way. And what about your personal life and your personal background? Any of your brothers, sisters, siblings got into some good universities, and what about your family
Oh,
background?
okay. My sister, who is a Berkeley grad, she did completely the same. She studied environmental
Yeah,
policy and
very good.
economics, also community college, and then she got into Berkeley. Now she works as a climate venture capitalist. The other sister, she lives in Belarus. She went to school there, and she was coming to the US, but she was never kind of like aspired to live there, which I totally respect and understand. So my family is like I could say like 2 out of 3 children are from Berkeley, which makes up 66% of children going to UC Berkeley.
Yeah, amazing, amazing, amazing. And what about your primary schooling? Is it in USA or in your other country?
Oh, like my high school?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, not high school, like before high school.
oh,
Yeah.
I all did the usual public school in Belarus. Not private, nothing. It's
Oh,
like I went to the closest school near my home to which I was assigned by. So it wasn't something like, as people say, where you do like differential, like when you do like calculus one in the seventh grade. It wasn't the school. It was just like a completely usual Belarusian school. So
yeah, amazing.
I'm not coming from like any private school.
Okay. And Leanid, what about your your life at UC Berkeley? According to you, is it like little bit hard to manage your GPA or like studies, or is it like fun to everything is perfect? You have time for parties and something like that. So according to you,
Krishna,
uh,
sometimes I
what about your
feel
current?
like I'm a dinner table at some restaurant. You need to book me ahead to be able to to have me. So it's kind of hard. Like, not gonna lie, the schedule is pretty busy. Like, I'm
Uh,
managing it pretty well. So but it takes a lot of time to just like to build,
yeah,
and it really took me a long time to just build a system where you know how to like manage your time with certain tasks. But it's like your Google Calendar is like always busy. So
yeah. I saw your Google Calendar. It's like bombard of
yeah, it's like the rainbow of
events.
different colors. I agree. So it's but
Yeah, it's amazing.
it's also like, do not be scared of it just because you're the one who built in your own schedule, and in
Yeah,
any day I would kind of like change something or add something. So it's pretty good, and I wouldn't say that like when you see it from the side, you would say, oh, I
yeah,
don't want to live this life. But once it becomes your life, you're like, oh, it's pretty cool.
amazing. And yeah, it's like a too personal question, but you have any girlfriend, something like that?
I am
And according to
single.
you,
Unfortunately, I don't have. I'm
yeah,
not in a relationship, so. But so a lot of my friends are in Berkeley. Like, I would say most of
yeah,
my kind of like closest community, like my social bubble, all of them are like dating for like a year to like pretty seriously. I'm not. I just can't
yeah.
dedicate time for it.
Okay, amazing. So you're prioritizing your like goals and your work, studies rather than those things. Because why I'm asking this question? Because mostly I have students from high school, so they have like misconceptions that you must have those kind of things in college, or that's the time to enjoy. So that's why I'm
Uh,
clearing.
I mean,
So yeah,
you can have relationship, and there is nothing wrong with it. The idea
yeah,
is just like I if I'm in a relationship, I respect my partner, and I will need to dedicate time. I will need to make sure that like I'm investing certain amount of time towards a person, and I just like I cannot right now, and I don't want to like make obligation towards the other person, towards any kind of girl who is like, oh, like I just don't want to look bad in her eyes where we're like starting a relationship, and then I every evening I'm saying, oh, sorry,
yeah,
I'm doing this. Oh, I can't. I have a meeting at 8 a.m. I can't go tonight. So it's like that's why. But parties in a way of like it's not as bad. Like even if you do like the hardest majors, you still can have fun. And it's kind of like what's interesting is like this like social like stereotype about like if you are studying, you still can do every
yeah,
like it's like you can do things.
yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that because it's all about time management, and you have great management techniques. So, yeah, thank you, Leonid, for sharing your whole story and like knowledge and everything. So, thank you so much.
Okay.
And in the last, yeah, any advice for all students, all high school students? Any advice?
My advice: talk with strong and educated people like Krishna. Like, get advice from
Yeah, thank.
them, and just like because like the idea of like student application is not just something new. It's not like something what like came up like a year ago, and you need to figure out your own way of doing things. It's been here for
Yeah,
like
exactly.
100 years, and it's kind of the system. And for every system, you need like people who kind of like just not like teach you, but they lead you. They give you direction. And I would say
Yeah,
go ahead and like go network, because like throughout people you will meet with, they will navigate you and they will tell you the direction of what you should do. Because like when you
yeah,
look at yourself under the scope of application, you're like, I don't know, maybe like this is good, like, but you honestly like most of things you kind of like thinking are important is bullshit. Is they're like not essential for you to get into grade school. You really need like people who know how things are established. So
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that because college application is like you can say that full of stress and anxiety. Many students have some misconceptions that okay, I don't need good GPA. I balance GPA by taking SAT or like participating in good extracurriculars. So there are hundreds of things
but
to understand clearly and
Krishna, just
yeah,
want to add up. That's so true. There is no like template. It's not like that you can have like
yeah,
the,
exactly.
oh, I'm like the student and I did this and someone got into the school and I will do completely the same and I will get to the same school. No, you will not. Like it's
No.
extremely personal, and like even all of the things which I told to you today are like very subjective.
Yeah, yeah, college application is a journey, and that's the main thing. Yeah, you are 100% right because mostly students are trying to do that. They are trying to complete the checklist. They are just okay, making a list of students who got into Harvard, Stanford. Then they are like just researching about their extracurriculars. Okay, he participated in MUNs. Okay, so I will also participate in
Yeah,
MUNs. Okay, he participated in Olympiad. So it's not about just completing the checklist. It's about just finding your own way or like do something which really impacts or really have some value in your life. So
yeah,
yeah,
that's
I agree
completely
with
true.
you.
Is it's especially
Yeah,
right now when everyone have access to everyone's kind of like stories, is
yeah,
it doesn't work. And you also like, the idea is that you really don't see how many applicants got rejected who wrote the same activities. You only see the
yeah,
ones who got in,
exactly.
but you don't see the ones who like thousands of people who never got in by writing completely the same things.
Things. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. And that's the main reason, like, whenever I am taking any interview, so many students suggesting to me that, sir, provide the list of their extracurriculars and just like they're all extracurricular, their GPA, SED. But I'm not doing. I'm trying to get, you can say that, experiences and tips, advices from those students because advices and that overview is more important than just a profile overview. So that's why. So thank you,
But
Leanid,
I
for
have to
joining.
say thank you,
Thank you.
Krishna. I looked over the YouTube videos you've been doing and the interviews, and you're definitely like 100% correct. And it's just like everyone who's like applying or like listening, just look what this guy is talking about. Just because I love your vision, Krishna, that you don't like just ask about GPA and activities, trying to replicate them, but you're trying to just like understand the philosophy of it, and it is definitely correct. It's a, and that's how it should be. So, Krishna, you're doing good job, and good luck to you with your like with cross the sky limits and with all of your activities which you're doing. It's a, we need such people like you.
Yeah, thank you so much. It means a lot for me because I just want to help all students because college application is like little bit you can say that challenging. So I'm just trying to help them and making it a little bit easy
Yeah.
by interview and providing. So thank you,
Okay.
Leanid.
Thank you,
Thank
Krishna,
you.
for inviting.
Bye bye.
Appreciate it.